Okay, another chapter here with multiplying. This time we're multiplying a binomial times like a trinomial, or these are all trinomials, but they might even be bigger. I don't know. I can't remember if I put a 4 in there. So maybe it should say binomial times trinomial, but it says binomial times polynomial. They're just bigger terms. So here we had 2 terms, and then we've got 3. So before it was 2 and 2, now it's 2 and 3. But otherwise it is absolutely identical. You multiply the numbers and you add kind of the variables. So first you're going to go to 1, you're going to multiply that 1x times all of those, and then you're going to take this and you're going to multiply it with all of those. Sometimes it's easier to have this binomial first, so we might want to rearrange it. But otherwise, you can kind of just leave it the same. You take the first one, multiply it by both things. Then you take the second one, multiply it by both things. Take the third one, multiply it by both things. It's just kind of, we do it both ways here. So that's how I'm going to leave it. I will start here with the 1 times the 3. 1 times the 3 is a 3. X and x squared, there's 3 x's altogether. And then we go here, 1 times the 2 is a 2, an x and an x gets me an x squared. And then that, a 1 times a 1, 1 times 1 is 1, and there's an x. Now let's go here. 2 times a 3 is going to be a 6, and there's an x squared. 2 times a 2 is a 4, and then there's an x. And 2 times the 1 is a 2. So we're going to want to make sure now we add things that are alike. So there's only one x cubed thing. It's a 3x cubed, so that's done. But then we've got a 2x squared and a 6x squared, so those have the same exact variables. And then we've got a 1x and a 4x. So a 2x squared and a 6x squared. That will come next, because that's the x squared. So that's a total of 8. 2 plus 6 is 8. We've got 8x squareds. And then a 1x and 4x is a total of 5x's. And then that plus 2 just comes down at the end. So that's what we have. So let's try this one. Now this is written in the other way, but still you take the first thing and multiply it by everything on the other side. So let's write, I'm going to write a 1x squared because I forgot to do that. I think that's all, yeah. So I've got a 1 times a 2, which is a 2, and an x squared and an x is an x3. I was going to do this in red. So 1 times 2 is 2, and then there's an x squared and x, yeah, x3. And the 1 times the 1 is a 1, and we can't forget the x squared. And then I'll do this, maybe 2 times 2 is a 4, and then there's 2 x's, x and x, which is an x squared. And then 2 times 1 is 2, and there's just an x. And then 1 times the 2 is a 2, there's just an x. And 1 times 1 is a 1. Now we are going to look for some like terms. There's only one x cubed, we'll put that at the beginning. There's a 2x cubed. And then we've got our x squared, so there's that one and that one. 1 plus 4 is 5, so we've got a positive 5x squared. And then we've got our x's, 2 and 2 is 4, so we have 4 x's, and then a tack on a plus 1 at the end. All right, last question. So take the first thing, and we're going to multiply it by all of those. So let's start with here. 3 times 5 is 15, and there's an x. 3 times 4 is 12, and an x and x is an x squared. And 3 times 3 is 9, and then you get an x and an x squared is an x cubed. Then you got 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 4 is 8 with the x. And 2 times 3 is 6, and then we're going to add on that x squared. So we're going to want to put things in order. So there's only a 1x cubed. There, it's a 9, so we'll do a 9x cubed. Now, how many x squareds are there? There's 12 and 6. Okay, so 12 plus 6 is going to be 18 x squareds. And how many x's? I got 15 and I got 8. So 15 and 8 is 23 x's. And then lastly, I have my constant, which is a plus 10. So again, we're going to take the first term, multiply it by everything, then take the second term, multiply it by everything, except for that this is that B one where there's the first term, middle term, and the last term. But same thing, you multiply by everything. So they're going to do, I'll zoom out here. How many questions are there? Okay, so there's another 3 questions. We'll do that in the next video. There's a lot to space, but it turns out I didn't really need it. I highly recommend that you practice this stuff. So don't do that right away. Let's watch the next video and do that. And then once you're done, there's a worksheet that goes with this that you can practice on.